I am Neostarling. And if you weren't sure before, now you are.
Hello everybody, how's it going? I am your host Neostarling here with my newest show Neo's Theory, and I am here to recap WWE Battleground 2016, available on the WWE Network. Wow. You know, I had to say, usually when I see these pay-per-views, I'm kind of like a little iffy about them. This was definitely a SmackDown versus Raw type of deal going on right now. And honestly, I thought Battleground was pretty good. Normally, it's a throwaway pay-per-view, but I feel like they tried to make it more important, especially with the stakes, which were, in this case, the WWE Championship, with that triple threat match being Dean Ambrose versus Seth Rollins versus Roman Reigns, former Shield brethren brought together once again to duke it out for the coveted title. Wow. So this was an interesting pay-per-view. I'm going to just start from the top and I'll work my way down to the bottom. We had a pre-show matchup. It was Fandango and Tyler Breeze versus the Usos. And surprisingly, they allowed Tyler Breeze and Fandango. So Breeze Dango got the victory. I thought that was a surprise. I'm kind of digging that because these are two dudes that they don't really utilize much. And you would think that they'd just give it to the Usos and it just be a simple throwaway match. But it was a pretty decent match. One of the Usos, I don't know which one, tried to do a splash on Tyler Breeze. And Tyler Breeze put up the knees, allowing him to get the pinfall. 1, 2, 3. Breeze Dango won the match. So with that, we get to our main show. The first match was actually Sasha Banks. So Sasha Banks had a tag team match against Charlotte and Dana Brooke, and she needed a partner. So who was going to be her partner? It wasn't going to be Becky Lynch because Becky Lynch had to fight Natalya. So it was none other than Bayley. Yes, Bayley has made her debut officially on the WWE roster. Bayley and Sasha Banks had a pretty good match. Bayley had an amazing showing. I mean, she did such a good job. Crowd was really hot for her. It was a big surprise. It made the women's division feel very important. And I'm happy to say that Bayley ended up winning this match along with Sasha Banks. Sasha Banks makes Charlotte tap out with the bank statement. So I'm kind of figuring that based off of that, she's going to earn her title shot in the next upcoming event. So good for her. Really happy for her. I'm really happy that Bayley is finally on the main roster. I guess the torch has been passed down to Asuka. So Asuka's going to continue being the NXT Women's Champion. And, you know, what can I say? Bayley honestly deserves it, right? So with that, we had The New Day versus the Wyatt Family. Now, as we all know, this was going to be the Wyatt family's last showing before they got separated because they're going to different brands. And it was a pretty good match, actually. Bray Wyatt looked super powerful, man. They did such a good job because, honestly, as of recent, you know, Bray Wyatt, he started off really great, like with a lot of momentum early in his WWE career. And then he kind of started like dwindling down. Then he got injured. He was gone for a while, but he made his triumphant return. And the Wyatt family actually gets the win off of the New Day. Wyatt hits Xavier with the Sister Abigail, getting him the victory. This was the Wyatt family's last hurrah, as you could say, for now on this pay-per-view, which was pretty good. Good for the Wyatt family. I'm glad they got the win. They looked really strong in victory. And beating the New Day is a big deal. So maybe a title opportunity is going to happen at some point. But then again, Bray Wyatt is on SmackDown, so he's going to be more of a singles guy because I believe the New Day's on Raw. So let's see what happens. Next, we had our WWE US title match. It was Zack Ryder versus Rusev. Zack Ryder came out sporting some shades, classic style, classic American flag shades. Same thing that Macho Man Randy Savage did a long time ago. Zack Ryder actually put up a photo, a comparison with both of them on his Twitter account. This was a pretty good match. I'm not going to lie. At first, I was like, well, you know, they're just going to squash Ryder. But Ryder actually gave him a pretty competitive match. There was a lot of back and forth. Ryder hit him with a couple of nice drop kicks. And he even hit the Rough Rider. And when he tried to do the elbow drop, this guy kind of just like reversed it on him. Then he caught him with a super kick in the back of the head. And that looked painful. I am not going to lie. After that, catches him in the accolade, but Ryder breaks out of the accolade. Yes, he broke out of the accolade. Not many people have done that, but Rusev quickly reapplied the accolade on him, stretched him all the way back the same way that he does anytime he fights against Kalisto, and he made Ryder tap out. After Ryder tapped out, of course, Rusev His hand is raised in victory, and he's just like, well, you know, I beat this guy up. I'm going to keep torturing him. So he keeps beating him up. And then Mojo Rawley, yes, the hype man, Mojo Rawley, the man that stays hyped. He came out to defend his bro because, you know, they were a tag team on NXT. And since they've been drafted to the same show, I'm kind of figuring now that Ryder didn't win this title, they're just going to continue to be a tag team. And I'm okay with that, honestly, for now, even though I kind of like Zack Ryder on his own. He's just gonna, I guess, coach Mojo Rawley, and maybe Rawley will get his own single run, who knows. But they didn't actually fight. Rawley just kind of looked like roided up, and he just like stared at Rusev, and Rusev said, you know what, I'm not gonna fight you. I had my match, I won fair and square. And then he dipped. So that was the end of that. Moving on, we had, which I personally think was the match of the night. These are those type of matches that when you look back on, when people make YouTube compilations, or whenever you say what was one of the greatest matches you feel you saw, which was one of the more like heartfelt matches that you saw, what told an amazing story, I'm gonna have to say Kevin Owens versus Sami Zayn was the best match of the night. Yes, it was amazing. Not only did, I mean, it started off like a normal match, you know, they had their back and forth. But it started getting to a point where Sami Zayn actually messed up. He tried to do a springboard moonsault off the top rope to the outside, and he actually flipped and hit his head and landed on his shoulder, which I was freaking frightened. In my mind, I was like, damn, like, these are just those type of things that you don't want to happen. But he still connected with Owens, and Owens actually hit the floor and, you know, selling it pretty well. They even, I like how the announce team even made it a point after they showed the replay to say that's why they call it high risk. As in stating that even though, you know, he basically botched the move, but they're owning that he botched it and saying, hey, this is what happens when you take high risk. And these are just those kind of things that you're going to have to deal with, unfortunately. So Sami looked like he hurt his arm. He did land on it. So I was thinking for a second, damn, he's like legitly hurt. But anyway, they kept going. Sami hits him with a couple of like exploder suplexes. He hit him with a freaking brainbuster on the apron, and I was like, damn. Like, I actually sent out a tweet after that. I'm like, yo, that's it, he killed Owens. Every time these two guys fight on a pay-per-view, I genuinely believe that Sami Zayn is always the one that deals the most damage on Owens when it's all said and done, even though Owens usually ends up getting the better of him. But where I feel this match climax was towards the end, when Sami Zayn hit him with the exploder suplex on the corner, and then he hits him with a haluva kick. And when he hits him with the haluva kick, he actually catches Owens. Like, Owens doesn't just hit the floor. He catches him in an embrace. And he kind of looked at him like, damn, like, this was my friend. What am I going to do? I'm conflicted. Because, you know, early on when Owens was like wailing on him, he was like, stay down. Don't make me do this. Don't make me do this. Because, you know, you guys got to remember, these guys have a long history together. And they were actually friends at one point. So I thought they did a great job of that storytelling. So after Sami held him for a bit, Owens was like woozy, knocked out. He actually placed him back on the corner, ran back to the turnbuckle, delivered another haluva kick, smacking Owens dead in the face, destroying him. Owens falls to the floor. 1, 2, 3. Sami Zayn gets his first pay-per-view victory against Kevin Owens. Great job. Great storytelling. That was just a phenomenal moment, in my opinion. It like almost, it got me very emotional, just because like I feel like you don't get a lot of moments like that anymore. And it showed the brotherhood between these two, how these best friends, you know, became strangers and whatnot. And they just ended up beating each other up. So good for Sami. Even though they're both on the main roster, I'm more than sure that they're going to continue their rivalry, or maybe they'll bury the hatchet. Who knows? Whatever the case. Oh yeah, I also forgot to mention, speaking of botched moves, during the Wyatt and New Day match, Big E has to stop doing that spear from the second rope to the outside, because that dude landed on his head. And I hope Big E's okay, because honestly, he's really awesome. And I don't want him to get injured off of a foolish, risky move. Like, he almost never does that move correctly. One day he's going to land on it horribly, and I just don't want to see like a freak accident happen. So Big E, if you're listening, or if anyone from WWE corporate or creative is listening to this, I highly doubt it. But, you know, in any event, please stop doing that move, because there's never a safe way to do that move, and he's going to really hurt himself one day. So please don't do it. But anyway, after that, we had Natalya versus Becky Lynch. Now, it was a good match because both of these women are arguably some of the best workers in the industry, especially on the women's division. And I just kind of felt bad that they had to follow up the Sami versus Kevin Owens match, because these people were giving standing ovations. They were clapping. They were just so excited. It was such an impactful match, you know, and even though they gave it their all, I kind of felt underwhelmed watching it only because of what I had previously seen. And it's not because they didn't do a good job. I kind of felt like any match that I would have seen afterwards would have made me feel that way. But either way, they had a pretty good match. There was a lot of back and forth. Natty did a great job acting as the heel in this matchup. A lot of trash talk. Natty actually ends up getting the sharpshooter on Becky Lynch, making her tap out, and she gains the victory. These two will obviously continue to feud. Next, we had a little backstage segment with Daniel Bryan and Shane McMahon giving Dean Ambrose a motivational speech, telling him why he's the best, how he always perseveres, he never gives up, you know, kind of via like a Daniel Bryan. And then Ambrose made this funny statement where he was like, you know, when I was in the Shield, you were my favorite guy to beat up on, Daniel. And then he thinks to himself, damn, I guess that sounded better in my head. Oh, well. Anyway, yeah, they were pumping him up for his match because, you know, why the heck not? So after that, we had the Intercontinental Championship match, which was Darren Young with Bob Backlund on his side versus The Miz and Maurice on his side. This was a decent match. It was okay. I kind of felt like there was just a lot of shenanigans in this match overall. It was a double count out. There was no victory. Nobody wins the match. Maurice pretends to be injured, and Miz goes out to check on his wife. Bob Backlund like rips his shirt. He's like, oh, I'm crazy. I'm Bob Backlund. And it's funny because like he can never fully take the shirt off when he was ripping it. So he kind of looked like he was like wrapped in a straitjacket in a way. He hits Backlund. Darren Young gets super pissed off, goes to the outside, catches him with the crossface chicken wing. And that was it. This rivalry will obviously continue. Moving forward, we had John Cena with Enzo Amore and Cass versus The Club and the phenomenal AJ Styles. So yeah, my arm didn't actually get cut off. It's just my green screen. But this was a pretty good match. As we well know, The Club and AJ are now going to be separated because AJ was drafted to SmackDown and The Club to Raw. So decent match. Enzo had a pretty long promo that he had before this match even got started. And I like how one thing that made me laugh, it was just hilarious, how he was like, "You don't wear Crocs ever." How you doing? It was hilarious. This guy is just so funny, man. There was one point during the match where Cass was just throwing Enzo all over them, and he threw him to the outside, catching The Club. JBL then made a remark saying that one day Cass is going to have a great singles career ahead of him. I don't know if that's like foreshadowing things to come, but I kind of feel like it is because they're really high on Big Cass right now. We all know that Vince has a hard on for these 7-foot-tall giants, you know. So either way, great match. There was a point where they all just like obliterated each other, and John Cena ends up catching AJ Styles with a super AA from the second rope, giving Cena the win. So Team Cena beats Team AJ. I kind of wanted it to be the other way around, but whatever. These two are going to continue feuding either way. After that, we had a highlight reel section with Chris Jericho and the returning Randy Orton, the Apex Predator, the Legend Killer, the guy that hits you with an RKO out of nowhere. And this was pretty much just Randy Orton talking about his matchup with Brock Lesnar. There was a point where he said no enhancements needed, which was a direct blow to Brock Lesnar failing those drug tests. And I think it's funny because I think Orton already has like 2 wellness policy violations. So the fact that he would even do something like that is it's interesting. But whatever the case may be, Jericho kept teasing the fact, saying that, oh, you're gonna try to hit me with an RKO out of nowhere. How about now? How about now? And you know, he actually catches him with the RKO out of nowhere. Good for Orton. Orton actually cut a pretty good promo considering that he'd been gone for so long. And hearing him talk usually kind of feels like you're watching paint dry. So the fact that Orton improved his promo skills while he was gone, not a bad look for you, Orton. You did a great job. Thank you for RKOing Jericho. I appreciate you. We moved on to our main event. Before I talk about this main event, I have to say that they actually did a good job showing vignettes before each match, showing the importance of each match and how, you know, they sort of built it up over time. I actually feel like that added a lot to the show because it's important when you're watching 2 guys fight or a tag team fight or a triple threat, women, whatever the case may be. You kind of want to know, you want a little recap in a way of what's been going on, what events transpired that led up to this point in time where they're at now. And they did a really good job all the way through leading up to the main event. They did the same thing showing the Shields when they came out, when they were introduced the first time, how they basically like destroyed everybody in the locker rooms. And, you know, that was it. So Shield comes out, you know, Roman Reigns, Dean Ambrose, and Seth Rollins. Roman Reigns comes out to a bunch of boos like usual. I thought it was interesting because he was looking a little rugged. He kind of had facial hair similar to mine. And for a month, that's not bad, the amount that he grew. He looked more evil. He looked a little more rugged. He looked like he didn't care. And, oh, speaking of, like, facial hair and, like, haircuts in general, Kevin Owens was sporting a pretty fresh cut earlier. And I appreciated that. So moving forward with this match, it was pretty good. It started a little slow in the beginning, but as we well know, those type of things tend to build up. There was a lot of back and forth with these guys. Roman Reigns started just like Superman punching the hell out of all of them, overusing that move. I kind of feel like it took away from it a little bit, but whatever the case may be, still a good match overall. There was a point where he was beating them so bad that they had to double team him. So they actually had a spot in the outside where Dean Ambrose and Seth Rollins do a double powerbomb on Roman Reigns on the announce table via the old school shields, which I thought was cool. After that powerbomb happened, my network had the nerve to freeze, and I was highly upset. I had to reset my router, and then I get back to the match. All I see is Dean Ambrose and Rollins in the ring. Rollins hits Dean with the Falcon Arrow, which I think was pretty cool. I just love when that move happens successfully and like Rollins doesn't break his knee, because again, like I said previously, that guy kind of scares me when he does those type of moves, knowing that he just came back from this surgery. But either way, there was a lot of back and forth. Like I said, this match ended up getting really good towards the end. Everybody was really hot for it. Dean Ambrose ends up hitting Roman Reigns with the dirty deeds and pins him for the 1, 2, 3. So Dean Ambrose is still our WWE champion. Seth Rollins lays there in defeat, so do Roman Reigns, and SmackDown has won this battle. That's pretty interesting. So SmackDown officially has the main belt. And I kind of like that they do, because I felt like, hey, you know, why the heck not? SmackDown should have it because Raw does have the Cruiserweight division. And overall, you kind of want to make SmackDown Live feel important. Don't degrade it. Don't make it seem like it's a piece of crap. Everybody came out from the locker room and they hoisted up Dean Ambrose, holding him up in victory. Well deserved for Dean. I'm so glad they decided to stick with him, because honestly, I think he's doing a great job right now. And he's probably arguably cutting the best promos of his career. So with that said, that was our WWE Battleground recap show. I am your host, Neostarling. If you liked this video, please comment, like, share, subscribe, word of mouth, do the damn thing. Anything helps me in reality. I really want to get this going. I have a hashtag NeosTheory right here on the side. If you guys ever want to ask me any questions at any point, I will answer them in a future video. So thank you once again for watching. You guys are amazing people. And yeah, pretty much that's all I got to say. I am Neostarling once again. And if you weren't sure before,
now you are.